we are at the site of Smith's Fort back on the creek, a half mile behind the house. And by 1609, Captain John Smith was the president of the colony, and he thought that the settlers needed another fort to fall back on in case they were run out of town at Jamestown by the natives or even by the Spanish, which they perceived to be a threat at the time. And the spot he chose was about 2 miles up a creek directly across from Jamestown. And the spot he chose is about a 50-foot elevation off the water. We're about 52 feet above sea level. And the spot he chose was like a little point of land that was, by his own terms, easily defended and not easily attacked. And it's kind of like a little triangle of land with steep sides on either side, that side, and over here as well. And they built a rampart across the land side to sort of separate this little triangle from the rest of the mainland. You can see beside me right here, this is the berm that they made. It goes from about that second big tree down there all the way behind us here. There's a break in the berm right here, and then it continues on down over here. The area that I'm standing in right here would have been the most part of the fort itself, where the dirt came from to make the mound, and the protected area would have been on the other side of the berm. We're not sure whether this dip in the berm right here was the actual entrance to the fort, or whether it has just eroded over the years by activity down here at the site. Up until the discovery of James Fort itself, really around 1994, this Smith's Fort was really thought to be one of the earliest sites they had ever discovered that was in this sort of condition. It is considered today to be the oldest above ground English structure in North America. Archaeology was done here in 1982 to confirm the site, and they did confirm the site as being Smith's Fort. So we're out standing on the tip of the point here at Smith's Fort, and we're standing right at the very tip of the point right here, which is probably the most likely spot that people would have accessed this area from the water. It's really steep further down. It's really steep on the other side, and this is all swamp over here as well. And there's plenty of deep water right out here. Right now there's 18 feet of water out here in the channel. It would have been easily navigable for a shallop, which was a type of boat that they could carry about 12 to 15 men in. They could row it. They had sails for it as well. And this is the most likely area that they would have transported goods from the water up to the top of the hill here. As you can see, it is very strategic. You can see somebody coming from probably at least a half a mile away. And if you put one cannon on top of the hill here, I think you could discourage any incursions. Shortly after Smith's Fort was begun in 1609, 5 years after that is when John Rolfe and Pocahontas were married, and this whole neck of land between these two creeks was their dower gift. And the creek was named Rolfe's Creek shortly after that. It was called Rolfe's Creek up until the point that Thomas Gray patented land on the other side of the river later on, and then it was known as Gray's Creek after that. Even though the fort site was never completed or used as a fort, it became a landmark, as I said, and this area surrounding the fort, 500 or 600 acres, really was one of the first settlements in what became Surry County, Virginia. And this area, the Smith's Fort area, which actually sent burgesses to the General Assembly, was meant to be the town in this particular area. It never came to be, but in the late 1600s, 1691, a plat was laid out for a town at the mouth of the creek, directly across from Jamestown, which developed in the early 18th century up until around the time of the Revolution. And after the fire there that was caused by Lord Cornwallis and the Queen's Rangers and Bannister Tarleton, the town began to slip away.